you have a number of candidates who are claiming they're incredibly progressive. And I think it is important to dig into their records, something that I did with multiple candidates, not all of them yet. But there was a video that I had done, I'm sure you know about it, on Tulsi Gabbard's record. And I talked about how, hey, I really like her, she's an exciting candidate, but here are some foreign policy issues that I think she needs to address. And then that quickly devolved into a giant mess. And so you were asked about it during a recent stream of yours, and I couldn't find your original video, so I apologize for using Progressive Voice's video. Yes, I watch Progressive Voice. I like the drums. Sorry.
Another 3 videos coming now.
I know. But I want you to just take a look at how you answered the question, because you end it with a statement that I want to ask you about. Let's take a look.
I think there are legitimate criticisms of her that one can make, and I don't think it makes sense to act like any and all criticisms of her are smears, because I don't think that's true. I think there are well-meaning people on the left who say, hey, I don't agree with X, Y, and Z, and let me tell you why and what those things are. Now, I think that's fair enough. But having said that, I also do think there are a lot of really terrible criticisms of Tulsi that are out there, and people going way too far in their criticisms. And I don't think a lot of those criticisms make sense.
So I really respect your analysis, because you've been pretty consistent and honest in critiquing various candidates. Tulsi, is part of that. So I do want to ask you, where do you think people go too far in criticizing Tulsi?
Syria is the main one, because every time, there was a period where she would go and give interviews, and there was one on The View in particular that I'm thinking of now, but virtually every interview she did at the beginning of her campaign, they would basically ask her the question, why do you love dictators? Why do you think that this, genocidal guy is awesome? And it was just repeated straw mans of her actual beliefs, because she said time and time again, she actually called him a brutal dictator. But she says, hey, the US shouldn't get involved, and we shouldn't arm and prop up these jihadist rebels that we pretend are moderate rebels. And it's just been the reaction to that. It's like you'd think she came out for pedophilia or something. They actually smear her in the same way that people were smeared back during the Iraq War, the lead up to the Iraq War. Everybody would say, if you were skeptical of the claims that were being made, they would say, well, why do you love Saddam Hussein? Why are you defending a dictator? Why are you defending a genocidal maniac? And really the reaction is, no, it's just a principled belief that the US should not do offensive wars against countries that don't attack us. And you can say whatever you want to say about how terrible various leaders are around the world, but that's not a reason for us to get involved and for us to waste our taxpayer money and for us to have innocent civilian lives on our hands. And I just feel like every time she's been questioned on that, they try to make it out like she's a cold, callous, silly person who loves dictators, when in reality, I think the media are the ones who have gotten Syria wrong time and time and time again. And they frame everything from the perspective of well, we obviously have to get involved and we obviously have to topple Assad. And they don't even recognize the reality that as of right now, the strongest fighting force in Syria that makes up the rebel factions, over 60% of them are jihadists. So who's going to fill that vacuum? It would probably be Al-Qaeda. It would probably be al-Nusra. And I think that she actually stuck her neck out on that issue, because everybody else either doesn't touch it, or when they do talk about it, they walk on eggshells. And she really stuck her neck out there for the non-interventionist position. And I just think that she's gotten a lot of the ire from really bad actors in mainstream media. And that's why, I defend her. And I think that some criticisms have gone too far.
Yeah, look, I agree with you on your analysis regarding Syria and how she keeps getting hounded by that very issue. In the very beginning, there was a problem in how that trip to Syria was financed. And to her credit, she took ownership of that, acknowledging that it was financed by Assad and his regime, and they allegedly returned the money. And so, acknowledging it and dealing with it, I think is a very effective way in having honest actors such as myself kind of let that kind of issue go. But there were other issues that came up. So for instance, And it's amazing because the media never focuses on this because they don't care. Her vote when it came to deregulating the auto industry and basically rolling back CFPB regulations pertaining to loans given out to minorities, particularly Black individuals who historically have been charged higher interest rates than whites, even if they have the exact same credit score and they shouldn't be charged higher interest rates. So she voted along with the auto industry to roll back those regulations. I think that's a legitimate criticism, but it just seems like you can't bring those issues up without getting a giant group of people constantly harassing you as someone who's a smear artist. So
yeah, I mean, in today's day and age, that's politics. I mean, there are some people who have strong backing, and if you say the wrong thing, they come at your throat. And I mean, that's happened with me recently on Yang, because I said about Yang, like I just said, I don't know about the comment that he made about his mic being cut off. And Marianne Williamson has come out also and said, well, my mic was off too at various parts during the debate. But it was like crazy to see the sheer number of people that were coming at me when I also said very clearly that, hey, if they did that, it's wrong. That's true. But I also don't know if they did it. But also the times that Yang spoke at the debate, he didn't do well. But, there's certain people that, they have a large following, and it's to their credit, they did something right. But yeah, this is politics, and we're going to freely discuss the issues, and sometimes people are going to get upset.